Both texts that you heard this morning share a similar clear message. Hosea tells us God is not much concerned with burnt offerings, with sacrifices, with fulfilling legal obligations. No, what God cares about is kindness, loving care, reaching out, extending goodness to one another. Jesus is not much concerned about hanging out with religious leaders, about making friends with the so-called good and upright of society. No, what Jesus cares about is building relationships with people who need a friend, touching folks whose lives may be falling apart, people looking for a place to belong, folks wanting wholeness and health and community in their lives. These folks are drawn to Jesus everywhere he goes, even at dinner in someone's home. The tax collectors, the lowest of the low in that day, the notorious sinners of the region, people somehow sensing Jesus can make a difference in their lives, Jesus offering them a chance to be transformed, inviting them into a life lived, discovering themselves as children of God. Jesus isn't much concerned about acting properly according to societal standards, looking respectable in the eyes of others. No, what Jesus cares about is sitting at table, sharing a meal with those who have no community, those who long deep in their souls for a place to belong, a safe haven, a shelter from the storm, even if only for a moment. Jesus has no time for societal divisions that keep us divided, no energy for barriers that keep people out. Jesus sits at a welcoming table, inviting each one into community, most especially inviting those in the greatest need. Jesus, connected so deeply to divine love, cares not about obligation and sacrifice. Jesus is completely about welcoming compassion. Jesus invites each one of us and everyone else to a table of welcoming love. In the past 2 weeks, Fort Street has set welcoming tables for many guests, and I don't just mean our open door guests, although, of course, our open door guests are included. At the fundraiser for a clergy colleague 2 weeks ago, we welcomed a lot of people from many different perspectives, people we had never met before in many cases, people who came to join with us for a common purpose. Last Sunday, again, we welcomed a lot of people, clergy and laypersons of different faith traditions were welcomed to the tables here at Fort Street, people who in fact came bearing food to help set the welcome table more broadly and abundantly. As we shared a meal, engaged in discussion, and worshiped together as interfaith partners and friends, all children of God joined together by a common focus. Even at the retreat last weekend, some of our own members entered new levels of relationship, creating a space of welcome for each other as they shared their diverse theological beliefs, focusing on discovering what all of them together could affirm, honestly affirm. God is not much concerned about dogma, but God cares deeply about compassion and love that reaches out, embracing all. Can we be so deeply and broadly welcoming every Sunday morning with each and every person when they walk through our doors? As people come to check us out, entering this place of beauty, feeling the magic of Fort Street, are they embraced and drawn into a warmly welcoming place of compassion? Do they sense in the depths of their being we really do want their voices at the table? We really would value them being members of our community? We really are ready to enter so deeply into relationship with them that we will be changed by their presence among us, transformed into new persons, transformed into a new community, transformed into a new creation by the new ways of being and doing that they will bring to us? Is our table so broadly and deeply welcoming that we eagerly invite the very ones, who will change us into a more thriving and vibrant community of faith? Some people tell me we are a very warm, welcoming congregation. Others tell me perhaps not so much, not quite as welcoming as we may think we are. I don't know. Maybe it depends on what Sunday it is and who's here that day, where the person happens to sit for worship, who happens to be in coffee hour, or how preoccupied we happen to be that day with other things. But some tell me we really aren't all that welcoming. As a visitor, they don't always feel a warm sense of welcome. As the stranger in our midst, they often have to take the initiative. As the newcomer among us, it's not always easy to find a place to contribute, a place to get involved, a place where their voices are heard and where they can have impact on the life of our congregation. It takes a lot of effort and hard work to be a thriving congregation, a welcoming space where people come to visit, where people settle in to stay. Thriving congregations are healthy congregations, and this takes constant, ongoing, hard work. The health of a thriving congregation is apparent in at least two important ways. First of all, these congregations know who they are. They know their history, they're clear about their identity, they know their mission, and they live together in community in forward-moving ways to accomplish the sacred work given to them. And second, thriving congregations who know who they are and what they're about also know equally well that their identity and their sacred work changes and evolves over time while they travel the ongoing journey of discovery, a journey on which each of us embarks when we commit ourselves to following the movement of the divine spirit in our lives. These thriving churches are the churches who welcome in others, even ones with different ideas, even when sometimes it's inconvenient and uncomfortable to deal with these differences. These are the congregations eager to learn what these new voices will bring to us, as together the community discerns the next steps on our journey together.